Good morning, everyone. How are you all doing? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today we have a new skill to practice, and it's something taken from parkour where we roll forward on our back, and it gives us a skill where it can be useful for a lot of things. Either we are practicing a handstand, or maybe just rolling around in the grass and doing some kind of acrobatics that we can play with. And this is a very useful practice for me that I feel it's gonna help mitigate a lot of fear of falling forward or on our head or on our back. This can be useful when we're practicing the crow, when we're practicing hand balance. There are many ways to bail out of a handstand. One of them is rolling forward. Maybe not the best for a handstand because it's quite inefficient, or if you're coming from a big drop, it might be very daunting. But it's still useful that we have something in our arsenal, something in our skill set that can allow us to disperse that fall. And if not for that, it's just a fun way to learn this and can really help us understand how the body moves in different ways. And, welcome to parkour. All right. So, the way I like to teach this is if you have been practicing a headstand at least, where we could do what we call a tripod headstand. Tripod meaning there's 3 points of support. So you have your head, then you have your two arms. So if this is my head, my hands will be somewhere here, forming a triangle. And this may be subjective to you. In yoga, they practice some specific positioning or measuring how to place your hands. Like they hold their elbows like this, place their head in front, and that gives you a triangle position and also your shoulder distance apart. Let me get down to it to just show you directly. So if you have a grass area or a sand area, I suggest to practice it there so you have a cushion. Because if you're not doing this yet or ever, it might be quite a hard landing in the beginning. So I have my I don't know, puzzle mats here, which cushions my landing. I'm going to place or position myself first at the very edge of it. Place my hands about shoulder distance apart if you want to do the yoga way. So this is where my hands was going to be, where my elbows are. Place my head, and the crown of the head is somewhat something flat on the head. It's not your forehead, it's not the back of the head. And also, you want to engage your neck. Okay? You don't want to just sink and just place all your weight on the head and on the neck. You're actually engaging. So from here, you're pushing tall towards the sky or the ceiling or whatever is your orientation in that moment so that you can engage the neck instead of just collapsing all your weight onto it. All right? So with that said, placing the hands, placing the head somewhere in front. You'll have to play around. It's not here in between the hands. It's not too forward, and it's on your forehead. And actually, it's gonna feel quite natural. That if you're doing it incorrectly, you'll not feel very stable, or you're not very confident that you can put weight there. All right. So starting from this tripod headstand, notice I'm lifting my knees so I can play around where the weight is on my crown of my head, and my hands are pretty strong here. I'm not just putting it here for show. I'm pressing the ground away so I can distribute the weight across my head and my hands. And then I'm going to stagger my feet. Whichever leg you're in front, you can play around with that. So it gives you quite a forward momentum that you can kick off from. All right? So from this is where the scary or tricky part is. Because now, if you've never rolled before, if you don't know how to use your back to roll over onto, it's very, very daunting. So again, make sure you're practicing on soft ground, soft grass, sand, or maybe on a gymnasium where they have these all the soft mats or cushion or maybe even a mattress. Yeah, whichever you have at your disposal. Now, the key here now is to push forward so that your weight comes forward and you start rolling on your back. Now, what we don't want to happen is to really roll on the back of our head. We actually want to roll onto the middle back area, which is one of the strongest position or body parts that we have. We're actually very strong in our backside. So what we just want to do to help our body roll smoothly is to create a C shape. All right. We don't want to have a flat back or arching even because that's going to give us a big flop on the back. How to practice that is we're going to lie on our back. Okay. So this is a flat back that we're talking about. Worse is you're arching the back so there's a big space on your lower back. What's going to happen is once you fall forward and you're arching the back or you're flat, either you hit your tailbone first, which is gonna hurt, or you hit your lower back, it's gonna hurt again, and it's not gonna be flowy or cool. So some people can land also on their feet like this, but for this purpose, we really want to practice that roll. All right. So to practice that or feel that sensation of how it is to roll, we want to bring our knees towards our body, okay, to the point that your bum or tailbone is lifting, and then bring the head as close or forehead as close to the knees as possible. Keep this tight tuck and maybe create a nice rocking motion. Yeah, you can point the toe or flex. I rather you point because when you roll, you don't want to clip your toes. So keeping this tuck, chin to chest. Okay, if you can start to create some motion here, you can start to extend the arms while keeping actively your knees towards your body, and maybe even to a seated position. All right. So with that rounded shape on your back, it's gonna give you like a rocking chair bottom that will disperse your energy momentum forward. All right. Getting back to our roll or our tripod headstand, placing our hands, staggered feet. Okay. Again, we're not rolling on the head. We're aiming to land here, and that's a little bit fast for beginners. It might be a little slow for you, but basically that's how you want the momentum to happen and rolling nice and smooth on your back. Let's try that again. It's almost at the very last moment we're tucking the chin, so we're not really landing on the head. And the higher your hips are, the easier or the less push that you need to do, just like so. It's a little bit hard for me because of my bandana. It's pulling up and creating some friction. So I'm going to show you where we don't really have to place our head in contact with the ground. And that can be a little bit daunting and maybe using a little bit more strength because now we don't have our head to carry our weight. We have to use our front shoulders to keep pushing and keep our body low to the ground. Head to low to the ground, hips high to the sky. All right, let's see that. So staggered feet, low to the ground. You want to have commitment here, yeah? Once you're ready to do it, just go ahead and do it. No, don't think about it too much. Okay? So I'm tucking my chin and roll forward. Okay? Notice how I assume that tuck position, bringing my knee to my chest so I can create that protected, nice, hard posture, which will just naturally disperse the energy around my body instead of against it. All right. Now, how do we progress this? That forward roll is maybe the beginner of all of it. But eventually, we don't have time to set up all of those. Sometimes we're just gonna be in a position and we have to act quite instinctively quickly. So an actual parkour roll is to be able to roll across and diagonal our back from our shoulders to the other side of our back. And how it happens is we have to pick one side first. And for this demonstration, I'm going to roll on my right shoulder. So therefore, I have to tuck my chin a little bit diagonal across. So I also have to bend one elbow to create that forward momentum and aim for my right shoulder, not exactly on the top of the shoulder, somewhere behind that I can start to roll into. Let me demonstrate that. So instead of placing our head like this or like this, we're actually maybe even standing up or sitting up a little bit. Otherwise, you can go low again. And remember, we're doing this aim for the right shoulder and kind of doing a scooping motion. And notice how I'm going to exit towards one side. All right, so here I scoop and I go around. All right, if I do that again, okay, so instead of keeping my hand in place, I'm actually kind of doing a scooping motion. So I'm landing on my upper back instead of my head or my middle back. Okay, it's a little bit more fluid than the forward roll because you don't have to take so much preparation to do it. You can even jump from a position to go into a forward roll just like this. All right. So just to let you know, it may have a little bit of an impact, and that's perfectly normal. You know, the body is very adaptive. The more you do something, the more it learns that, okay, I need to change to be able to do something. So initially, our body is going to be very soft, our skin, our muscle, because it's not used to getting impact. But if you think about a boxer or a martial artist, they fall off the ground, they bounce back, they fight back, or they get a lot of punches on the body and kicks in the body, but they're fine because they have been exposing themselves to these kind of things that enables the adaptation. Because if you don't use it, you don't have it or you lose it. So initially, maybe you'll feel, okay, I'm getting bruised up, or it's a little bit impactful to the head, maybe you're getting a headache. That's normal. Do not quit. Again, maybe you can practice with a softer cushioning or padding, and then eventually start to do it in a harder surface until you are able to harden and develop your technique so flawlessly that it doesn't almost do anything to you. All right. I hope that is a very learning experience or video for you. If you have any questions, leave me a comment or send me a DM so I can address it specifically. If you have any specific injury or body condition that we need to discuss, I'll be happy to get on a call with you. All right, so I'll see you in the next videos. Check out the next video for after this because that is quite a similar practice but in a different direction, and it's a lot of fun. All right, I'll see you in the next video, and peace and love.